Breanne Leith.
Tonight, we mourn the loss of a true hero whose name will forever remind us of the honor, the courage, and the strength of our police officers in the face of such senseless violence.
Welcome into the news at noon. I'm Nicole Griffin. The city is still stunned at the loss of IMPD officer Breanne Leith. She was killed in the line of duty while responding to a domestic violence call on Thursday. The suspect in the shooting is in custody, and we now know his name. Today, IMPD filed preliminary charges of murder and attempted murder against this man. Elias Dorsey is 27 years old. He was arrested after the shooting Thursday afternoon on Edinburgh Square near 21st and Franklin. Officers were called to the apartment for a domestic disturbance. Police say Dorsey opened fire as Officer Leith approached, striking her and another woman inside. Dorsey has no prior criminal record before yesterday's shooting. In her short time on the force, Officer Breanne Leith made a tremendous impact on the community. Stories of her compassion, leadership, and caring nature circulating social media just hours after the young woman's death. Our Alyssa Donovan is live at the Indianapolis Metro Police Department. Alyssa, Officer Leith was on the force for just 2.5 years.
That's right, Nicole. So really, she was just starting her law enforcement career, but in that short 2.5 years, she touched so many lives. And right now, the men and women in this building behind me are mourning the loss of their sister in blue. We know that Officer Leith loved Indianapolis. She grew up here. She raised her son here, and she loved what she did. She always dreamed of being a police officer. And one of the first things that Chief Randall Taylor said about Officer Leith is that she knew this was what she wanted to do since she was a little girl. The path into law enforcement was a simple one for Leith, who grew up in a family devoted to public service. Her mother was a 911 dispatcher, and her father is a reserve deputy for the Marion County Sheriff's Department. Officer Leith's kindness and involvement with citizens can be seen across social media. People sharing stories of her generosity. One person posting that she delivered presents to those in need on Christmas. Chief Taylor says she was strong and respected. She was who they wanted as an IMPD officer.
She's described as a dedicated officer who showed compassion for the community. She is the example of the type of officer we want on this department.
And you'll notice if you're out today that flags are flying at half-mast. That is in honor of Officer Leith. And a processional is expected sometime this afternoon to carry Officer Leith to Crown Hill. Reporting live, Alyssa Donovan, RTV6.
Alyssa, thank you. Another woman was shot inside that East Side apartment where Officer Leith was fatally wounded after police had secured the scene on Edinburgh Square. That shooting victim was taken to a hospital, and we are told she is stable. Her identity and her relationship to the suspect have not been released. There is much more about the life and legacy of Officer Breanne Leith right now on the RTV6 app and the IndyChannel.com. Now to your Storm Team 6 forecast. Meteorologist Todd Clausen standing by. Todd, it is nice and sunny outside, but still pretty chilly at this hour.
Yeah, the sunshine is literally the bright spot in the forecast here for the day today, Nicole. There's no doubt about that. We'll keep the sunshine throughout the afternoon hours here, but these temperatures are chilly. We're in the 40s now, though, all across central Indiana. Some of you started in the 30s this morning, so we have seen the temperatures take that expected big jump that we wanted them to once the sun came up. Here's a live look outside right now, and we're just building in a few fair weather clouds. That's just about it, and that's the way it'll be throughout the afternoon hours. So we'll go from completely sunny like we've been this morning now to partly cloudy going forward throughout the remainder of the day. It's still a little breezy out there, but the wind is not quite as gusty as it was during the day yesterday. So you can see these temperatures over the course of the next few hours. We'll get up to right around 50 degrees for your afternoon high with those partly cloudy skies. But as soon as the sun sets this evening, temperatures will start to cool off quickly once again across the area. And that's going to set us up for another another very cold overnight period. A frost advisory will go into effect this evening until Saturday morning. We'll talk about that. And also your Easter weekend forecast coming up in just a few minutes. Nicole.
Todd, thank you. The curve of COVID-19 cases is going up again in Indiana. The new numbers from the state health department are now out. Indiana has reached a grim milestone as 300 Hoosiers have now died from the coronavirus. The state reported 55 new deaths today. That is the most new deaths reported in one day. Marion County continues to report the most positive cases in the state. Marion County also surpassed 100 deaths from COVID-19, according to the latest numbers. The state also reported its largest single-day increase in coronavirus cases. 568 new positive tests were reported, giving the state almost 7,000 in all. The number of new cases ticked back up after 2 days of slightly lower numbers. We'll get the latest news on the outbreak at the state level from Governor Holcomb later today. We will have live coverage of his daily briefing at 2:30 this afternoon right here on RTV6. You can also watch it at theindychannel.com and on our RTV6 Facebook page. We will also have a live coverage of the daily briefing from President Trump's coronavirus task force starting at 1 o'clock this afternoon here on RTV6. It comes as the debate intensifies between the president and health experts as to when people should be encouraged to get back to a normal routine. ABC's Alex Prochet tells us millions of people are inching closer to economic catastrophe.
This is the new norm of uncertainty for Kim Chapman. She's a hair and makeup artist, but her North Carolina business, like many others across the country, is shut down because of the novel coronavirus.
All of my freelance work is pretty much canceled till June.
Similar situations playing out across the country. 6.6 million filing for unemployment last week, nearly 17 million in a 3-week span.
This is 10 times worse than we've seen in a generation.
The Trump administration saying some have already received that promised extra $600 weekly unemployment check. Those $1,200 stimulus checks promised by the Treasury Secretary to arrive as early as next week to those with direct deposit. The Trump administration also asking Congress for more funding for its Paycheck Protection Program for small businesses, an extra $250 billion, though Democrats blocked that request in the Senate yesterday because they say it doesn't go far enough. Many Americans forced to depend on the generosity of others to fill their financial gap. Lines backing up at food banks like this one in Ohio. There, they predict up to 40% of the state's residents will have a food shortage.
I'm pregnant right now with a very high-risk pregnancy, so it really helps a lot.
They say the number of people they serve has tripled since the COVID-19 pandemic. The president still with an optimistic outlook.
I think our country, from an economic standpoint, will end up being stronger than ever. We have tremendous stimulus. We have tremendous stimulus plans.
But will that help come soon enough for those like Kim Chapman?
Even if we were told to go back to work tomorrow, I mean, the average working family, is only a couple of weeks away from not being able to pay bills.
The CDC has new guidelines for essential workers, healthcare professionals, mail carriers, and those involved in the food supply. And these new rules speed up the process for workers exposed to COVID-19 to return to work. But some unions have called it, quote, dangerous and reckless. Alex Prochet, ABC News, Washington.
Alex, thank you. The Metro Police officer killed on Thursday was only the second woman on the force to die in the line of duty. The first was killed almost 3 decades ago. Coming up next, we look back on how that officer's death impacted the community. Todd.
And it's a breezy afternoon for us here across the area. The good news is, as the day progresses, these winds should start to subside. Once they do, it's not as windy for the weekend and it's warmer, but there's a little hitch to that forecast. We'll talk all about it coming up when the News at Noon continues right here on RTV6.
Crazy.
With Thursday's tragic shooting death of IMPD officer Breanne Leath, the department now has lost 2 women in the line of duty. The first was Officer Teresa Hawkins back on August 17th, 1993. Officer Hawkins was responding to a call when her patrol car was hit by a drunk driver and she was killed. Former RTV6 reporter Derek Thomas was there to tell the story of Officer Hawkins and the grieving of her friends on the force.
The first women went on the street in Indianapolis in 1968. Deputy Chief Davis followed in 1970. But male or female, the pain of a fallen comrade is just as great. Throughout the morning, blue uniforms viewed the grim scene. Their thoughts are many, but boiled down to two.
That you've lost a family member, and the other, if you're in a patrol car and you see a patrol car demolished as hers was, or that you see a fellow officer on the ground after being injured or shot, that could have been me.
It was Teresa Hawkins. She was one of 143 female officers on the department. She joins the roll call of cops that put it all on the line and gave all they had. No tribute is enough. Not nearly enough.
That was Derek Thomas with that report from 1993. You can read more on Officer Hawkins and the other IMPD officers who have died in the line of duty right now at theindychannel.com. You aren't driving as much these days, and that could put some cash back in your bank account. Coming up, Call 6 Investigates looks at whether your insurance company owes you some money. And now here's a live look outside right now. A nice day, a little chilly. Meteorologist Todd Klassen will have your forecast when the news at noon continues.
To Keller. Keller and Keller.
The stay-at-home order means fewer drivers on the road and fewer crashes here in Indiana. One national watchdog group says Indiana should be doing more to save you money on your car insurance. Call 6 Investigates Kara Kenny has been working for you and digging into the numbers and joins us now with what you can do to get money back in your pocket.
We did a records request and found a 27% reduction in crashes in Indianapolis comparing last March to this March. A national watchdog group says you should get a reduction in your car insurance premiums as a result.
Sharon Freeman usually drives 30 minutes round trip to her job on Post Road in Indianapolis, but now she's not driving much at all. She's an Allstate customer. Allstate is one of several insurance companies offering customers some relief, an average of 15% off based on April and May premiums. American Family Insurance, Geico, and Liberty Mutual are also giving customers a break. The Consumer Federation of America wrote a letter to the Indiana Department of Insurance Commissioner asking the agency to put pressure on insurance companies.
Our highways and roads are empty compared to what we normally see. And this is all around the country with reductions in driving upwards of 50, 60, in some places 70%. And the math on this isn't very complicated. If you're not driving, you can't cause accidents. And the insurance companies, of course, know that before anybody because they receive the claims, and claims are way down.
The Indiana Department of Insurance posted information on their website for consumers, but we haven't heard back yet on whether they're reaching out to insurance companies on behalf of Indiana consumers.
Even if your car insurance company won't give you a break now, the Indiana Department of Insurance says you could benefit at a later date as the industry adjusts to new driving habits. Reporting in Indianapolis, Kara Kenny, RTV6.
Kara, thank you. The Consumer Federation of America says they have not received a response to their letter to the Indiana Department of Insurance Commissioner, but the group says they will independently work with insurance companies and encourage them to reduce rates for Hoosiers. RTV6 is committed to connecting Hoosiers to resources and job opportunities through our Hiring Hoosiers initiative. It's a mission that is important, more important now than ever before. That is because thousands of Hoosiers are not able to return to work due to the pandemic. This week alone, more than 133,000 people have filed for unemployment in Indiana, but those who are applying are running into some roadblocks. The commissioner with the Department of Workforce Development says the agency has had some technical issues with the filing process.
We have had some complaints or some concerns about calls being transferred, and when they're transferred, they end up getting dropped. We're working with our IT team to make sure that that issue is being addressed.
A website will soon be set up for people who are self-employed, like independent contractors who are trying to apply for unemployment benefits available through the federal stimulus package. Right now, people trying to apply for those benefits are being automatically rejected by the state system. Now we want to get another check of your Storm Team 6 forecast. Meteorologist Todd Klassen standing by. Todd, the shots that we keep showing of our Weather Now cameras look really nice, but kind of chilly.
Yeah, you know, that's what I always call deceptive sunshine. You look outside, and especially after you had a couple warm days, you see that, you're like, great, I'm going to walk out the door. It's going to be nice. Not so much here today. Take a look at some of these low temperatures from this morning. Got down to 31 in Indianapolis, 31 in Lafayette. 32 was the overnight low temperature in Columbus. And we do have sunshine now, as Nicole was alluding to. We're starting to build in some fair weather clouds, but that's going to be the case here throughout the afternoon hours. It won't be that bright blue sky. But these clouds will not produce any rainfall throughout the day today. And the temperatures have rebounded up into the low to mid 40s all across the area. 42 in Indy, 44 as you see there in Muncie as well as Bloomington. We're going up to highs today in the upper 40s in Peru, low 50s down to the south, right around 50 degrees here in Indianapolis. That'll put us about 10 to 12 degrees below our average high for this time of year. And there's still a little bit of a breeze out there. That breeze will continue to subside throughout the course of the remainder of the day, so that's good news. But you're definitely going to need to have the jacket if you're going to be out and about this afternoon or even this evening. Again, just some fair weather clouds building in. All that precipitation will stay away for at least the next 24 to 36 hours. Notice once the sun sets, which is at 8:19 this evening, those temperatures will start to cool off very, very quickly. By 10 p.m., we are down to 42 degrees. And then by the time we get to tomorrow morning, we're looking at temperatures that are back down in the low to mid 30s. So it's not quite as cold as it was yesterday morning, but still getting down into that danger territory as far as vegetation and flowers go outside. And that's why the National Weather Service will put this frost advisory back into place tonight going into tomorrow morning. Last night it was a freeze warning because temperatures were going to be a little bit colder. It's a frost advisory though, again, overnight tonight into the day tomorrow. Here's your Saturday forecast. We're starting off very cold, as I mentioned, but tomorrow we do get back closer to normal. It's a decent day for us on Saturday. We'll kind of toggle back and forth between partly to mostly cloudy skies, and the rain should hold off until late Saturday evening. But once that rain does arrive, unfortunately for your Easter Sunday, we're going to have to deal with showers off and on for the first half of the day, and then when the actual front comes through during the evening hours, it's going to turn fairly wet across the area. It's still mild or seasonable, I guess I should say, with a temperature right around 66 degrees. And as we go over to TrueCast, I'll show you quickly on Saturday evening as these showers start to build in closer to sunset. And as we progress throughout the overnight hours and then eventually into Sunday morning, we bring these scattered showers into the forecast. There's a lot of dry hours still the first half of Sunday. So if you're thinking about doing maybe that Easter egg hunt with your family in your backyard, or you want to do it in your front yard, just outdoors, you'll just have to dodge some scattered showers during the first half of the day. If you want to do it late in the day, you may have to plan on doing that indoors. Behind the cold front on Sunday, look at those temperatures, Nicole. It is going to be chilly with highs that are only going to be in the 40s. So definitely more early spring-like temperatures here that you would typically see in March compared to the middle of April.
All right, Todd, thank you so much. Well, still ahead on the news at noon, a company that had to lay off its employees is still taking care of them during the ongoing pandemic. We'll have that story for you and much more when the news at noon continues here on RTV6.
Are shipped directly from a U.S. warehouse.
Crystal Catering and a Classic Party Rental are trying to keep employees who are off the job fed, healthy, and motivated. This was the scene outside of Crane Bay. It's a drive-through for workers to get a box full of food, including rolls of toilet paper. More than 100 people who would normally be preparing and serving meals were not forgotten by their employers as they all hope to return to work soon. Good to see them working together, Todd.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, here's your forecast that takes us through your Friday, your weekend, and into next week. Today, no issues. A little breezy this afternoon, but that should die down. 50 degrees, partly cloudy skies. Tomorrow, decent day, partly sunny with highs around 60. Showers arrive late Saturday, and then they're with us off and on Sunday into Monday. Then you notice the big cool down as we head into the next week. It's going to be chilly Monday through Friday of next week with highs only in the 40s. Nicole.
Todd, thank you, and thank you for joining us here for the news at noon. Join us back here at 5 o'clock. Have a great afternoon.